everyone, and welcome to another week of Nerd Alert. Guess what? The guest is John Iadarola of ThinkTank, the very set we're on right now. The studio is experiencing some really exciting improvements that we will get to eventually.
Someday.
But for now, we are on the indestructible ThinkTank set, which you may recognize from such shows as Pop Trigger.
And ThinkTank.
And ThinkTank.
And probably What the Flick eventually.
And you know what? All of them.
Yes.
Sports. Wouldn't that be weird?
No. Not gonna happen.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about first today is E3. So last week we were at E3 for the whole time. We're tired. I was hungover for 2 days. I don't know about Andrew, who's off camera, but it was
Probably
a lot.
as
It was a
tired.
lot of fun. If you want to go look at the videos we shot, they are all posted in a special playlist that is being inserted in post somewhere. Yes.
Editor, take note.
But a lot of people thought that this was a really great E3. There
That's what I've
were
heard.
very good showings, basically all around. Some better than others. In particular, we have the ever-present Sony versus Microsoft. Who won E3?
Yeah. It's not as good as a couple years ago when we had that, when it was really contentious and people were fighting online nonstop. They're still fighting, but it's much lower grade conflict.
Yeah, well, I don't appreciate fanboyism and blind loyalty to a corporation who really, honestly, could not care less about what you do. They just want your money. So I would say always think for yourself, figure out what's the best independently each time. Don't pledge allegiance to a corporation.
Or get a PC.
Or get one of those and just tell me how inferior I am every day of my life.
I'm getting ready.
For not having one. I will when I'm ready. Be nicer, and maybe it'll be faster.
Yeah. So there was some of that conflict, and there was the whole backwards compatibility wars, and we find out that some of the claims that were made about backwards compatibility, you don't actually have the capacity right now that we thought initially that you would. They're going to keep adding stuff to it. But even some of the ones they were holding up, you can't actually play yet.
The list is selective right now. Perhaps it'll be expanded later. This is, of course, Xbox One is announcing that Xbox 360 games will be playable on the Xbox One system. I have not tried it yet, though I hear it is not that hard to get it to work. And that's exciting to me. That makes the Xbox One all the more appealing for me to want to buy. I don't have a personal one, however, there is one in the Young Turks studio that I use for work purposes.
That's a good feature that should have been there at launch.
Well, the thing is, PS4 is still, they can't do it, and they won't do it. So that is a selling point that makes it more appealing.
Yes.
I might have to buy my own Xbox One now.
They're lower priced than they used to be.
Mass Effect is added to the list.
Not Red Dead Redemption, I don't think.
If they add Borderlands, I am all in because I have some saved characters in there that I don't want to build up again.
Yeah.
I don't want to. So if you add that, I'm in. I'm all in, Microsoft.
Yeah.
They also introduced the HoloLens, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Going the AR route as opposed to VR, which is where Sony is with Project Morpheus, which was shown off a lot more this E3, and it was pretty impressive. I don't know if I consider VR to be maybe a fad.
I don't know. I've been reading more and more editorials of people predicting that as we get closer to the retail launch of the Oculus, that our expectations may come to a grinding halt when we have to face reality. That while it's cool that in a shooter you might have to look behind you, do you want to have to look behind you constantly, or do you like just moving your thumb?
I mean, if you
little
have
things
one
like
of those
that.
treadmills, it might
Yeah, if
be
you want the
helpful,
treadmills, which those are never going to be mainstream, or not for decades.
They're too big, they're too expensive, you have to buy special shoes. I mean, considering
It's already
how
hard
much
enough for
I
me to get a
run
woman to stay in this apartment.
in open world games, it's a lot of running, especially, I want to explore everything.
Yeah.
But, and then, so on Sony's side, we have PlayStation Vue, which is sort of their a la carte cable offerings. It is available now in Los Angeles. It might be available in your city. I'm not sure. It's in select areas right now.
Yeah.
Which I am all about. I'm excited about Sling TV. I'm excited about being able to choose which channels I want to watch without paying the sports premiums, because I don't watch those channels, not even a little.
Okay, I thought you were going to say because you just want the sports package.
Because I only want ESPN 8, the Ocho. So anyway.
I think one of the reasons that some of the publisher versus publisher and manufacturer versus manufacturer wasn't as I don't know, people didn't stress it as much as in previous years, is that we actually had a lot of good, at least game previews, game relaunches, HD remaster packages being put out, all of that stuff. Like, there was a lot of actual gameplay, whereas in previous years it was all, well, God, what are we going to be able to play on these systems? We don't know, so let's talk about the bus speed and the memory.
I think this is the year that we are done calling Xbox One and PS4 next gen. They're current gen. I only found one game that played the previous generation of games in the entire E3 that I was there, and it was also available for current gen as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's done. Sony was really inspiring, at least in their presentation. We have an FF7 remake, which is very exciting to those of us who have played. Not everyone has played. Maybe it's time for you to get on board.
I was a Dragon Warrior kid, I guess.
I was absolutely a Final Fantasy kid. And then we also have how do I pronounce it? Shenmue.
Yeah,
Shenmue?
that's not one of the ones that I've played. I hear it's cool.
People are happy about it, and we have The Last Guardian, which people thought would never see the light of day. It was announced in 2007. I mean, kudos to you for bringing it here, at least as a playable demo on the E3 floor.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm concerned
Who
about...
knows if it's going to actually come out, though?
These are
Maybe they're just every 5 years they're going to bring it back.
It could happen. See, that's what I'm worried about, is because Final Fantasy VII Remake, we've been begging for this for a decade. We want it. But all we saw was that it's going to happen, and it's going to come to PlayStation first. We don't have any dates. We don't have any real footage from what the game looks like. I don't know how far this is in development. And if you will remember, when we first heard about Final Fantasy 13 Versus, I think 2005, 2006, it's going to be Final Fantasy 15, but think of how long that took to come to fruition.
Yeah.
I am so worried this will happen with Final Fantasy 7. It'll just be a dream that we hold on to and just hope it's around the corner, but won't be for 5 years, 10 years. I don't know. I hope it's as soon as possible. I would love to play it. I love the idea, but that's the thing. It's an idea. As well with Shenmue, which I've mispronounced again, it is being kickstarted.
Yeah,
it's in the Kickstarter stage, which is weird because I think there is the money there and the interest to drum up the funds to make
without
this happen.
The Kickstarting, you're saying.
Without the Kickstarter. And secondly, it's in the Kickstarter stage. That is not far in development at all.
Yeah, that's true. Look, I was excited at some of the games I saw. One of the, like, if we're talking about, like, winners, I don't know, if you're a Star Wars fan, Battlefront, I'd initially been very excited when it was first announced, and then everything that came out afterward, for months and months afterward, just kept making me less and less excited and more nervous.
People
because
have been
it seemed
very
like
critical of it.
Well, they were dialing back features, and number of maps, and who you could play as, and all this no space maps, and they kept dialing back and back and back. But now we see it, and it looks really good. You got a chance to actually play it.
I did play it.
And so that has brought back some of my faith.
It's visually stunning.
It does look very good.
It's a lot of fun.
It looks cool to fly the TIE Fighter through the canyons.
I did get a flying vehicle, which the name of which I can't remember. It was not an X-Wing.
Was it Rebel?
I was a
Rebel.
Rebel.
Was it Snowspeeder?
No.
Oh.
Y-Wing.
Oh, you were in a Y-Wing? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I've always liked the Y-Wing.
I crashed it almost immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know
They're ungainly.
how much of it is me and how much of it is the controls. It wasn't very intuitive to play. Yeah. I'm just gonna be real.
Well, even in the Battlefield games, like,
so it could be my fault.
In Battlefield, flying the vehicles, that is an actual skill. Like, I've never been very good at it. I don't expect that I'll be much better in this. But being a bounty hunter looked pretty cool. We saw a couple of shots of like a little bit of lightsaber combat, just a little flicker of it. That's exciting. It gives us something to dream of. That's my Final Fantasy. That I'll someday play that.
Your Final Fantasy?
Yes, this is the only one I'll ever have.
Oh.
So that looks good. I mean, there was a lot of there was your Yarn game looked pretty cool. Yarny.
He's the star of Unravel. It looks very sweet.
That was pretty cool.
Go look at my interview with the man who presented it. Everyone called him really awkward. Yeah, it was awkward, but he was passionate.
He's a video game developer. What do you want?
And you know what? Some of us are just awkward.
Yeah. I like Sea of Thieves. I still have faith that at some point an open world survival game will actually be cool, and that seems like a good environment for it. The ability to crew a ship with your friends cooperatively. I think that's something that we've only had a little bit of. There was the Guns of Icarus was pretty cool, but a little bit, it's not mainstream. We need more like that, and I think piracy is the way to go. Until Star Citizen finally comes out.
Battleborn, though it does
Battleborn's
remind me very strongly of Borderlands
and Overwatch,
and somewhat of Overwatch,
which I'd rather play.
It looks like Overwatch. It feels like Borderlands to me.
Yeah.
But guess what? I like those games, so I'm okay with this derivative.
You laugh last.
Yes, always. So, audience, who do you think won E3? We're kind of at a deadlock, I guess. I mean, it depends on what you value more in your offerings. I think there were very strong presentations all around. Who do you think won? Try not to be too much of a hard-headed, lizard-brained fanboy below, and give me real reasons why. I want to hear them. And please help out the show and subscribe for more.